right, folks, it is a quarter till, should I say. It's about 15 minutes to 8 o'clock. So if you got something to say to me, please let me know. 219-885-1371. That number again, 219-885-1370. Because I'm out of here at 8 o'clock. I don't want Dr. Williams to come in with the 2x4 and start regulating and, physically throw me out. So I got to get out of here. We just finished talking about Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and how he exhibited political courage in a time of segregation, at a time of when black people were really in danger and not just a coward like most modern black political leaders. We talked about, before that, we talked about, what are we talking about? Oh, right, we talked about the death of Henry Kissinger. Yes. As somebody who has wreaked so much havoc on this earth, finally dying and sparing us all his presence. And of course, we pay tribute to one of our fallen here at WLTH, Miss Laurel K. The first person I ran the board for here during the weekdays, during the weeknights here at WLTH. Her and Dr. Truth and Ruth Needleman. Always such a good spirit and just a fighter. She had the spirit of Adam Clayton Powell in a lot of ways. She was definitely not a political coward like a lot of black people are, unfortunately. But as I mentioned earlier, today is December 1st, which means that it is World AIDS Day. And, when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, people talked about AIDS all the time. It was everywhere. Commercials. When's the last time you saw a commercial talking about AIDS? You don't even really talk. They don't even really talk about it anymore. They just show like those commercials with the gay dudes who are taking the PrEP so that they can, have all the sex they want and not catch it. But that's about it. You're not really seeing any real time devoted to warning people about this disease, and it is still here. It's not going anywhere. 39 million people were living with HIV last year. 39 million people on planet Earth. About 1 million people were newly infected in the year 2022. About somewhere between 500,000 and 800,000 people died from AIDS-related illnesses in the world last year. About 30 million people were accessing antiretroviral therapy, which is a good thing. And about 85.6 million people in the world have become infected with HIV, and 40 million have died since the start of the epidemic back in the early 80s. That is a horrific amount of people. 40 million people have died from AIDS since the early 80s that we know of. That we know of. Now, the good news is that new HIV infections have been reduced 59% since its peak in the mid-90s. And since 2010, new HIV infections have declined by 38%, from 2.1 million to about 1.3 million. Still far too many. And since 2010, new HIV infections amongst children have declined by 58% as well. So we are seeing a lot of progress being made in terms of people not getting infected as much, and they're not dying as much either. AIDS-related deaths have been reduced by 70% since its peak in 2004 and 50% since 2010 around the world. Now, it's important to state that there are certain key populations that have been known to carry HIV more than others. Almost 3% of sex workers, 8% of gay men and men who have sex with other men, 5% amongst people who are injecting drugs, who are IV drug users, 10% amongst transgender people, and 1% of the people in prisons. So when you're talking about sex workers, gay men, IV drug users, transgenders, and people in prison, those are your real at-risk populations. Now, look, we're in a majority black city in a very heavily black region in Northwest Indiana here. So it's important to say that this disease continues to disproportionately affect us, black people. As of 2019, the CDC is estimating that of the 1.2 million people in the United States that have HIV, 40% of those people are black. 40%. We're only 13% of the population, but estimated to be 40% of the people with HIV. We have, this is another outgrowth of the prison industrial complex. A lot of these men have become infected with AIDS while in prison. We remember Bobby DeBarge, the older DeBarge brother from Switch, which was a really groundbreaking band, really underrated band from the late 70s, early 80s. Check them out. I Call Your Name, They'll Never Be. Great, great songs. But he caught AIDS in prison and ended up passing away from it in the 90s. New HIV infections disproportionately affect gay and bisexual men and black heterosexual women. Black men accounted for 3/4 of new HIV infections amongst all black people in the United States, with 82% of those attributed to male-on-male sexual contact. Also, a CDC analysis found that black, gay, and bisexual men were less likely to receive an HIV diagnosis, or use PrEP, which is the medicine I was telling you guys about, and virally suppressed, and be virally suppressed in comparison to white, gay, and bisexual men. For black women, 91% of HIV infections were attributable to heterosexual contact. They are catching it from these men who've been in prison and these men who are down low. I'm just telling you guys, you really got to watch out. We lost so many talented people in the world of hip hop. We lost Eazy-E. Sports, we lost Glenn Burke, who's invented the high five. A lot of people don't know that a brother invented the high five. Him and Dusty Baker, back in the 70s, invented the high five. He was a really brilliant baseball player. The singer Sylvester. We lost so many talented people to AIDS in our community. So I'm just saying, if you are engaging in those really high-risk behaviors, you're going to have to watch yourself. Let me get this last caller before I got to get on out of here. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mr. Cannon. How you doing?
It's all good, brother.
I want to tell you got a great show, son. You're doing well.
Well, thank you.
I just want to send some prayers out to Lorel K.
Yes.
And Ruth Needleman. I know she's really taking it hard. And also Dark Man. That was one of her co-hosts, right?
Yes.
They did a wonderful show together, and she trained you quite well. and I think you're doing a great job, son. So
Well,
keep it up.
Thank you very much.
And you have a good weekend, okay?
You too, brother. Thank you so much for calling. Whew. Yes, rest in peace to Laurel once again. Laurel Ray Kilpatrick, a member of our WLTH family, passed away. And, she was somebody who was definitely courageous politically. She was definitely courageous politically.